On the tee, Jack Nicklaus.
This is the minute that millions around the world have waited for.
We will allow you to enjoy all of this. They are dancing in the pubs of Dublin. Harrington with an ace.
And we have a shining star at sunset. Rory continues his run to greatness.
The return to glory.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Bogey Men podcast with Dave and Jonny. Welcome to episode 3. Thank you to everybody who's listened in so far. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. I think we've had superb feedback on episode 2 from our episode with Johnny Wonder, and had a load of questions. And I think one of them that came out of it, Johnny, actually relating to us, was who we are. And I suppose what qualifies us or what doesn't qualify us to have our own golf podcast, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I don't think I wouldn't consider myself in any way qualified to talk about the game of golf, but more my experience of watching and playing golf. And I think that's what we try and talk about here. So do you want to start, or do you want me to, how do you want to format this in terms of who are we?
Yeah, so I think it's probably, from a credibility perspective, it's really good to be genuine with our listeners as to who we are, where did we come from, and like what is our kind of, I suppose, substantiated or qualified golfing knowledge as well, because I think both of us are in the same spot from the perspective of being avid enthusiasts, but maybe are on two very different journeys in terms of where we want to go from a golfing perspective. And one is no less significant than the other. In fact, I'd probably argue that your journey and what you're going on is probably more relevant to a lot more people than mine, and people can relate to it in a much easier fashion, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. So I think my story is fairly relatable. I guess I started golf when I was 11. So depending upon who you talk to, that's quite early or quite young to the game. Some people, you hear stories of them starting golf at like 7 or 8. My family weren't particularly golf based, or not even particularly sporty. I'd say up until recently, I was probably the sportiest person in my family. My little sister Lizzie has now gone on to be like a very high level rower over in the UK. So she has taken that mantle from me. But for a while, I was the most athletic person in the family, which is not fair.
And was that, in terms of, was your previous sporting experience a lot of like athletic based stuff, or was it kind of
it was all team based and all ball. Yeah, it was all team based and all ball sports.
So your basic level of your hand-eye coordination would have been fairly strong.
Yeah, so I played
which helps massively.
Definitely, especially when the main sport I played was hockey. So I took up hockey when I was 8. And
yeah, that's massive, because that even just gives you a basic understanding of how to swing at something.
Absolutely. And so I took up hockey when I was 8. Still play hockey, but like golf, I moved away from it for a little bit when I was in college. But we'll go back to my golf kind of autobiography. Excuse me. So yeah, started golf when I was 11. Played it until I was 16, and my family were fortunate enough that we built a place down in Mount Juliet, just off the 5th hole. So actually, one of the first weekends that we got to spend in the house as our house was the week of the 2004 World Golf Championships that Ernie has. And
okay, decent start.
It's a decent start, and I've actually, this is a great story that I like touting a good bit. As residents, you get like typical country club perks when events and the competitions come your way. And on the Tuesday of the practice week, or just before the competition kicked off, I remember being with a friend of mine. I'm like, we were 11, so we were running around the place, just going nuts like kids. And I rode into the clubhouse, full tilt, run into this massive 6-foot-something South African, who of course is Ernie Els, who then goes on to win the competition that year. And I just remember I nearly completely took him out of it Imagine injuring the person who
You
went
could
on.
have changed the course of golf history.
I know. So that was great. Like, that shaped my interest in golf in a big way from a young age. Obviously, being super fortuitous that the WGC was in my background. I remember,
Nice.
I remember walking 18 holes with Paul Garrington, and then growing up and getting to like spend a bit of time with him and his brother Tig, having coming that full circle. That was great. It's nice little tidbits like that that really, for me, made golf special at a young age. So then I played up until 16. I wasn't a particularly great golfer as a teenager. I think I played I got like 14, 15, I got down to like 12, and then 16, I scraped into 9, and I was like, great, this is great. But I wasn't a good golfer. I wasn't a good 9.
Yeah.
And then just got into like 5th year, 6th year, and just dropped out of the game entirely. Got into college and just stopped playing like sport completely. And then
I think that happens to a lot of people over here, doesn't it? Like we do have a huge kind of mortality rate in terms of sporting mortality rate when people get to that college part. They just drop off, and that's all sports, not just golf.
Definitely, yeah. So like I'm pretty involved in my hockey club as well, and I was chatting to the club captain, and he was saying that the academy and the youth age, they're really strong membership. To the 30s, 40s, 50s age, really strong. It's that cohort of people in their early to mid 20s that they really, like, a lot of clubs and a lot of sports really struggle to keep. And so I can, that was my experience with both golf and hockey, but golf primarily. And then at 25, so 27 now, so 2 years ago, got back into golf in a big way. Got back and fell heavily in love with the game. I don't know what it was. It was just I went down to Juliet again for a shoot with my day job in off the ball, and I hadn't been down there much for just a bunch of different reasons. But being back down there, you're like, this is a special place, Yeah,
it is. And I suppose you're a bit spoiled in that. I just said your first probably major golfing memory when you moved into a house was when the WGC was in Mount Juliet, and then having a course like Mount Juliet, basically where your house is. It's not like it's a kind of a small local or / municipal type facility or course. It's probably one of the best. It's in the top 20 or 30 in the country.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm definitely, as I'm older now, I appreciate it more.
You should, because it's spectacular down there.
Yeah, I think as a kid during the Celtic Tiger,
there would have been a lot of who's who. Yeah,
of course. Like, this is probably harsh on Mount Juliet, but I find that in places like it are the very best and worst of golfing culture. You have fantastic facilities. The people that run the greenskeepers, Francis who runs the pro shop, great people. But then some of the membership less great. And
I think so.
There's a certain snobbery that comes with some aspects of golf, and there's a certain snobbery that comes with aspects of Irish golf and country club golf.
Oh, definitely. Look, we're still, I suppose, we still have in Ireland at the moment clubs where women can't join. Like we're still at that level.
Yeah.
Let's not kind of paint the game in Ireland into an all-encompassing and all welcoming sport, because there's significant gaps in it. So what you're saying is absolutely true. And I suppose even within normal clubs, you will always have the guys who feel they're more important and who feel that their sub is somehow worth more than the sub that someone else is paying, even though it's the exact same amount.
Yeah. So for a number of different reasons, I kind of fell out of the game, but then came back hard, as I said, and really just dove back into the game. My dad gave me his old set of clubs. He had them lying around the house. So at 25, I was, still using my dad's clubs just to get back into the game and see could I hit a ball again. And yeah, I got back into it and really enjoyed it, and it got my handicap again. I had to go through the whole process of getting a handicap, handing in 3 cards, and that was gas as well, because the club gave me a handicap of 20, having still been fairly active and fit and athletic and playing hockey. So all those motor skills, and having played golf for 6 years before that.
Wow.
So,
I hope you won a lot off that, did you?
Yeah, I won a good bit.
All
my friends are calling me bandits for, some of them still call me bandits to this day.
Well, yeah. Up until you got down to 9, I would have called you a bandit, to be honest.
Yeah.
To be fair. But...
So yeah, first year I went down from handicap from 20 down to 15. And then second year I went down from 15 into 9, and just scraped into 9 and shot my lowest round actually to get me into 9. I shot a 75 on Paris Court's East course to get me down to 9.3. It was the last week of going. The last week of the season last year. I just snuck in, and that for me,
nice.
The goal was
course too to that's a legit score too, isn't it? Because that's a tough place to go. It's not just it's not forward tees, it's not short, it's trickier in the greens. The greens in Powers Court are amongst the best that you'll see anywhere. I think between there and Carton House, really, I would have thought.
Yeah, the greens
in Ireland
greens in Paris Court are never weak.
They're to the point where I played the Scratch Cup there last year, and I had a 5-putt on the 17th on the west. Is the west the par 3 down the hill? Yeah. So it can do that to you.
It can. Yeah. So that brought me up to this season, and then this season the goal was to get in and around the 7 or 6 mark for handicap. I'd rather be a comprehensive 6 or 7 handicap.
Yeah.
Try and rush down to 5 to then come back up the following year to 6.
Yeah.
I don't like yo-yo golf.
Yeah. So where do you play?
So the course. So Mount Juliet is the main one. Most weekends it's down at Mount Juliet. I was trying to find a course in Dublin last year. I was lucky enough to get a deal with Paris Court, and I played out of Paris Court. This year, no one's playing any golf this year right now.
You brought me out to Paris Court actually, and I can't get over it. I have friends who were previously members there as well, so I'd been out previously with them. I played the Scratch Cup there, and then I played with you, but I couldn't get over the quality of the facilities there. I think next to Carton House, in proximity to Dublin, in the course is probably, and it is expensive relative to a lot of courses in Ireland, for example.
But there are too.
What you get. Yeah, there are, but that's the other thing, and it's the same probably with Carton House as well, and that it is expensive, but the facilities are incredible. There's 2 courses to choose from, very different practice. Practice facilities
unbelievable. I played down there with 2 pro friends of mine, Luke Donnelly and Dylan Brophy. They got down there and they were just stunned by the practice facilities. Yeah, and I think to me that would actually now start to influence a decision as to where I'd go and play, as to whether they had for sure. Whether they had something like that. Because where I play in St. Anne's, we're actually limited. I'm in 2 places. One is St. Anne's in Dublin, links course on Bull Island, adjoining to Royal Dublin. And it's basically just the course. That's just because it's on a heritage site and there's no room for a range there. But it's a lovely traditional kind of, I suppose, quaint is probably the way to describe it. Links course, narrow, always in good condition, nicely kept, very good club atmosphere around it. And then my partner's from Donegal, so I took membership there in Donegal Golf Club, this was the exact opposite. It's just facilities galore up there with a monstrous links course with just huge amounts of space. So so that's the kind of the difference in, I suppose, the facilities that you get in Dublin. And I suppose that, but then again, it's rare that you can get beautiful parkland courses within such proximity to gorgeous links courses as well. Yeah, Dublin, there are a lot of golf courses around Dublin, so now I'm looking for where I can play my Dublin golf. again, I know you're super lucky. I'm super lucky to be able to have the options of Dublin golf and Kilkenny golf. But I'm only, like I said, I'm only 27, so I still come under that intermediate bracket. So memberships are all a little bit more affordable for me now. And to be honest, that plays a big part. Like, I just bought a house, so golf memberships, they're definitely not high on the list of priorities for my girlfriend.
Miscellaneous expenses, I think, is the best way to avoid any problem. And then you were saying, what was the plan, or what is the plan? Look, we will get back to playing some sort of golf this year. What's the plan then, playing wise, for you?
I'd like to be able to have a better knowledge of my swing. And so 2 years ago, when I went back to my coach, I went back to the guy who originally taught me how to play golf at the pro in my Julia, called Sean Cotter. He knew me as a kid. He knew my swing. He knew I played. He knew I played hockey. So he knew my bad habits. So I went back to him. I still go to him. And so when he asked me what my targets were for that year, I said handicap goals. And he was like, no, like, that's the result. The handicap change is the result. So this year I'd like to become better, have a better knowledge of my swing, and be able to have the knowledge of my swing to shape the ball. I think being able to do that should enable me to lower my scores. So if I can finish off with if I can get down to like 7 this year, be super happy.
That's a feasible jump. Well, it would have been a much more feasible jump given at the start of the year, because we would have already been into 2 months of counting competitions. Sure. Well, 1 month really, I suppose, of counting competitions already, and with the, I suppose, daylight that's there, it's not dark till 9 o'clock, so people will be playing a lot more, and we'd be getting just your eye in, I suppose. So but I still think that's feasible. But like you've mentioned, a few of the courses actually that are there. I'd be keen to see, what are your I'll give you a top 5. What are your favorite courses in the country? Or no, not in the country, that you've ever played.
I've actually never played golf out of Ireland.
Oh, have you not? Oh, right, okay. Well, it's a unique view on it, so. Yeah,
again, I guess that's because there was 8 years there where I just wasn't playing. So I guess this is year 3 of me playing golf again. So I haven't gone on that trip abroad to Portugal or Spain or to the States.
Right, okay.
All things I'd love to do. But right now I'm limited to Irish golf. Not the worst place to be limited to.
I could think in worse places.
Yeah. So I guess my top 5 would be, I really enjoy playing Corvallis. I don't know if it'll come.
Yeah, that's in mine as well, actually.
It's a great course, great track. Really enjoy it.
For those who don't know Corvallis, I think it's important. So Corvallis is a municipal course that's near John Abate, would join on to the island, which is quite a prestigious course.
Yeah.
But it's extremely quirky. I think, is there 9 par 3s or 8 par 3s or something on it?
It's 9 par 3s.
Yeah, it's 9 par 3s. There's 1 par 5, couple of good par 4s, but it's all about the par 3s there. Everything from a 3-iron par 3 to a flick of a wedge. So it's particularly quirky. And also, it was a place that, in advance of the Open, that Bernard Langer would have come to an awful lot to play his practice rounds in advance of the Open. So it's a little bit of information for you.
Has 6 par 3s.
6 par 3s, is it?
6 par 3s, par 66.
Yeah, so very quirky, easy access from Dublin Airport, just off the M1, cheap, very cheap. I think it's about 30 quid to play. Like, if you're going bank for your buck and you want to go and have some fun for the best price under 30 quid, I think you won't get better than there, really.
Especially in the Dublin area, I think it's a affordable, good quality, fun golf course.
Yeah.
So that would be,
I think that's in mine as well, actually, would you believe?
That's in there. Probably put Clean Castle in a 4.
Oh, okay.
I really enjoyed it. Again, it's a Jack Nicklaus signature design, so there's probably a bit of that bias in there in terms of what I know and grew up on. I played it not last December, but December before that, just before like weather got really, really heavy rain. Loved it. Loved the bunkers. I thought like their bunkers were super deep and difficult, which was a nice challenge. I don't think I played particularly well. Can't remember my final score, but I just remember enjoying it. So that'd be 4. 3 that 3 that I put as my Juliet. Yeah. So there's the kind of growing up their relationship with it. It's a great.
Yeah, it's one of those places you go all the time. I've never not enjoyed a round, never not even enjoyed playing badly. It's just a nice place to go. It's a fair course too. It is a fair course.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are wide fairways and there are misses. There's just the right place to miss. Yeah, and I guess I think. Yeah, I
think if I was to take a 9 in Madrid, I'd probably take the back 9.
Yep.
Over the front 9. There's a couple of spectacular holes in the front 9. I think 3 and 3 and 4 are excellent holes. Yeah. They're just magnificent holes. But I think the back 9 probably has its share of signature holes coming in across into that wooded area. It all converges in there, really.
Yeah. So the European Tour also meant to have the Irish Open there, and they had a residents meeting when they were planning where they put the grandstands and all that. And they had most of the grandstands planned around the back 9 for those signature holes. So your 11th, 14th, 13th, that kind of area, that wooded area you're talking about, would all have been pretty heavy in terms of focal points for them. And I think that's
a good one in at number. That's a good one. That's in number 3.
Number 2 for me would be, and I'm going with courses I've played.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, courses you've played. Obviously, is the criteria.
Port Marnik Hotel and Golf Links. Really enjoyed that. Yeah. Played that with Dave McIntyre and Keith Andrews. That was again another good fun day out. It's the first time I played it. I shot like 10 over, which was like, I think that if you can shoot anything close to handicap first time you go out somewhere, that's pretty good.
I've played that a lot this year. I played it a lot. I played it 4 or 5 times in the TaylorMade Winter Series that goes on Tuesdays. So for anyone who doesn't know it, it's basically used to be, but I think handicap limit is 6, I think, for it. I think it's around that. And I've had 2 seconds there. Thankfully, I had a 70, shooting 71, 74. And I've played with some you play with it, the standard is very high, so you get everything from your standard golfer like myself to the best amateurs in the country, plus tour pros. A lot of tour pros will play, Irish tour pros. So you get Gavin Moynihan will play a lot, Robin Dawson, Paul Dunn has played a couple of times. So you get some really, really good. And it's funny. I think the lowest score that those guys have shot around there is 67. So it gives you an idea. They don't completely rip it to pieces, but it's interesting for good amateurs as well to go if you're looking to get a handicap down. Because the standard scratch is quite high off the back sticks. I think the standard scratch is 75. Wow. So it's always good to go and get a good chunk off your handicap if you're playing well. It's a good place to go, and then it's a lovely course.
Yeah, and then I think number 1. This is tough because I would say I enjoy Parkland golf more than I enjoy links, but I've come to appreciate links more. I had a bad round here the one time I played it, but I still really enjoyed it, and that's probably because of the company as much as anything. I think that's a huge part of it. But Royal Dublin, really enjoyed it. This front 9, it was silent. There was no wind at all, and I was like, this is also one of my first experiences with links. So I was playing with my soon-to-be stepbrother, and playing off 18. Got through the first few holes. We were playing on matches, himself and myself. He plays off 5 as a team, and the guys we were playing off were like, "This is disgusting. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're not 18." I think I was like 3 over through his front 9. Then the wind
taking all the money.
then the wind kicked in, and it was just a different sport. It wasn't even a different game. It was just,
Yeah.
I have like a typical Parkland golfer. I play a pretty high shot.
Yeah.
My ball flight's pretty high. So wind,
because that stretch coming back into the prevailing wind in Royal Dublin, when you turn from the short par 3 at the bottom of the course you're into some massive par 4s into the wind, and it feels like a long way to get home in all of them.
And like I got down to 18, demoralized, but like it was fun because I was like, okay, I need to change how I play this kind of golf, and that was great.
That's different. It's different completely. Yeah. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
Good day out.
Yeah, it's a good mix. It's a good 5 to have. It's a nice. Some very, very nice courses in there, I have to say.
Yeah, there's plenty more that I want to play or want to try out. But
yeah,
I think if you gave me just like one course that I could play on a Sunday for like the rest of the year, I'd probably take Corvallis, to be honest.
Good shout.
Which is the cheapest out of them all.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't have to be expensive. Just give us a course. At the moment, we'd just take one strip of grass, I think, at this stage. Yeah, exactly. So nice. No, that's a good mix. That's a good mix, and nice to hear. Kind of, yeah, it's good to get a good perspective from your side as to what golf is, what it's about for you at the moment as well.
Yeah, I think for me, I guess that's a totally different answer though, because for me, golf at the moment is probably the one proper escape that I have. I still play hockey, the team sport, and it's an escape for sure. It's a great social outlet, but this is going to sound weird, but I don't like being reliant on other people's performances, which is why I love golf. It's an individual sport.
Yeah,
so if you screw up, it's on you entirely.
Yeah.
The only person that can fix it is you.
My background is exactly. And my background comes from completely team sport orientated. Like I started playing golf when I was, I'd say I was probably 5 or 6, going out with Dad. Dad got a club cut down for me, a little 5-iron, the Ben Hogan 5-iron. I remember it was tiny. Like I'd say if I had it now, it was probably only that big. Like kind of, it was tiny little yuck. So I used to just whack around in the back garden, and the odd time he'd bring me back if he was going playing in the evening. So he was a good golfer. He was playing off 9 at the time, but very sporty, and all the house would be very sporty. So I kind of fitted it in, and I played a lot of hurling. I played every sport when I was a kid, like tennis, golf, rugby, hurling, and you got good, I suppose.
Your family has a pretty wide sporting background between yourself and your.
Oh yeah, like massively. There's my brother used to play in Australia as an AFL, in the AFL. I played professional rugby in France for a long time. My sister played for intercounty football for Westmeath, and my other brother would have been an international footballer up to on the Ireland under 19s. I think he played it up until. So yeah, it's all sports in this house. But oddly, golf is the thing that brought all the lads back into one sport, actually. But yeah, so I was down in Athlone Golf Club, and at the time, a guy called Mickey Butler was a junior convener there, and he was really good at organising. It was mass chaos with loads of kids running out. Everyone was given. It was probably like community daycare for parents. It was a time when my dad would be going to work, and he'd drop me at the gate with my bag, £2 for chips and a pound for Coke, or a can of Coke. And if you wanted more golf balls, you had to win them on the putting green. And that was under 10s was the year you started. So you were allowed to go out from 8, actually, in Athlone, I think it was. So I kind of learned from lads that were around, and we were lucky when we were around it. There was really good lads a few years ahead of us. Colin Moriarty was in the club. Mark Rowe was there. Neil Kelly was there. They were all kind of competing either for Connacht or for Irish boys. And Colin obviously went on to do a huge amount of stuff. But then kind of got to the age of 14, and I was down to, I remember I had a handicap of 15 when I was 14, because I had to go and play. I had to go and play in some club competition. I'd been brought over to where was it? Ballyhonus, actually, where the Connacht academies were and the Connacht screenings were held. So I went down there, and they were interested in me playing more golf, but I was just rugby orientated. So from there on, I probably fell away from the game until the summers in from 2003 on, when I was coming home from France on my 6 weeks off. So I played, and I think actually, oddly enough, the last individual or the last thing Colin Moriarty won after or before the Walker Cup was actually a foursomes event with me in Athlone in Open Week. And in that Open Week, I won 4 prizes and got cut from 16 to 9 in the space of the week. And we played at the end of the week, and we won this thing with, we were 12 under between the two of us. So I had always played at a good level. And then the only time I ever really got a chance to play then was during the summer when I came home from France in our off season. So,
do you just give a bit more context as to what you were doing in France?
I was playing professional rugby, yeah. I was playing rugby at the time. So I really didn't have any time to play over there. Like, you didn't want to be going out on your days off, kind of walking around playing 18. So it was a little bit different, but I think that kind of competitive thing always kind of stuck with me, and that I've always felt like if I was doing a sport that I'd have to do it like full on. And then kind of drifted away from it, but got a bit of an itch. And the last summer I was back, one of the Challenge Tour events was on in Glasson, and I caddied for a French guy in the Challenge Tour event there, and actually went and caddied with him on the tour for a couple of events in France that year. So kind of like got a view of what really, really good golfers are like and how far away everyone else is. Yeah, but like you, I only got back into playing golf about 2.5 years ago. Really just gave it a bit of time between work and all that, and just had forgotten about it a little bit. So got back in, was playing off my original handicap at 8, and just went flat out into it, and just obsessed by it again. Like you're saying, completely obsessed by it, and gone from my handicap went from 8 to 2 last year. But because my handicap the previous year was still 8, I was still eligible to play in a lot of team competitions that would have had lowest handicap limits of 8. So the likes of the Jim Broome, the Barton Cup, and then I was obviously low enough to play Junior Cup as well. So I played all that last year in this really, really competitive golf, and my God, I absolutely love that. That stuff there's so much pressure actually that you wouldn't think. I said, like, I would have played in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people in France, but actually the pressure of hitting the tee shot in the first in like the Jimmy Broome foursomes is actually way worse, or a Junior Cup. Like it's mad where you put yourself when it's not your comfort zone. It's hard. So so I got back into it, and then this year was the real goal. Was I had entered into the West, into the qualifier for the West, and it looked like I probably would have got into the Wednesday qualifier for that, with the goal of going and having one lucky day.
Sure.
And that's all it needs then in Sligo, is one lucky day for everything to go right. I had just gone down and played a practice round the week before everything closed up.
I remember.
I had 71. Yeah, I think you were. I was talking about you gone down, and I'd actually 70 there, and I was taking course notes. So I was like, God, I was actually prepping quite well, and a friend of mine had agreed that he's going to come down and kind of caddy. He was actually a pro in Dublin. He said, "Oh, I'll give you a hand." I was like, God, this is brilliant. Like, you'd actually have a chance. And then the plug was pulled. So there's nothing going to be on this year. So I think for me, it's just a case of once courses open up, I'll be in Donegal, or I'll be in Dublin, I'll be playing St. Anne's, or I'll be playing at Donegal Golf Club. And what it'll probably do is no harm for me as well, in that I had started to take golf very, very seriously from a competitive perspective. And this now will certainly send you back into the more social space, which I think a lot of people are dying for. I know I certainly am, because there's a whole social element of my mates that I play with in my four-ball that I just want to get out and see them and enjoy it again. So yeah, it's a bit frustrating in one way, because I was on a roll, but there'll be plenty of time to do that. Really, I'm not going to ever be turning pro, so it's not a case of having to get to that level. I'd really love now to get down to scratch and just be able to get into the championships and play that as my interest sport. Then is golf, and to go down and play the West and play the North and play the South, and just be at a handicap where I can just enter into those.
Yeah, and that's interesting. So when the West is cancelled on you, what do you do in terms of reevaluating targets? Like, obviously you have no idea when this is going to kick back for you, like kick back in. But do you set yourself targets for, okay, this is what I want to get back to, or this is what I want to play at competition wise? Because I guess with each of those targets that you'd set, you would have to schedule or arrange your training around that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, to a certain extent. And I think that this may be kind of is a bit of a reality check that golf in the grand scheme of things isn't that important, and we can have these things in place. But I suppose I've done a few. I have friends who I've done, and I have friends who are doing triathlons and stuff like that, and they pay for a coach and they pay for a rigorous training program and they pay large entry fees to go off to mad parts of the world and do Ironman and stuff like that. So I suppose is that the hobby taking over is nothing strange. If you ask my partner, if you ask my girlfriend about it, she'll say the exact same, that it's all golf. But I think that's a lot of people. It's a very obsessive game. It drags you back in no matter what level you're at. So whether you're a 2 or a 20 handicapper or a +2, you experience the same things just at different levels. So like to say that I reevaluate, not really, because I suppose were my goals written down. No, I suppose I would have had fairly clear goals, but no, I just want to get back in now and get chipping away at my handicap again once competitions start, and making sure that once everything does open up, that my handicap is in a place where I can just enter directly into these things and pick out maybe some end of season, just the mid-ams are still happening potentially later on in the year. That may be an option.
Yeah, I mean, like, did it make you reevaluate or reappreciate the game?
Reappreciate. Like, and then kind of this will get on to like what are my favorite courses. My top 5 courses are all based off like the pure appreciation of being out there in a context of playing with them. Like, so just to get back out again.
Talk us through your top 5 then.
My top 5 in no particular order as well, because I don't know how to order these. These are like my 5 number ones, I think is probably the best way to describe it. I'm going to leave cordless out because you put that in. But first one I wanted to bring was Spyglass Hill in Pebble Beach, in the Pebble Beach Resort. That was
fair enough. Yeah,
that just blew my mind. Like, I think the first 5 holes there, if you just look it up online, it's spectacular. It has the opening hole, which is a downhill par 5 that sweeps to the left and just opens up into Monterey Bay. And then the next 5 holes are down by the coast before it disappears out into the Del Monte Forest. And it's absolutely incredible in terms of, a lot of people would say it's better than Pebble in terms of the layout, in terms of how it uses the land, and how less built up it is from a residential perspective as well, which is interesting. But that place is spectacular. So if you ever get a chance, and that happened purely by chance, we were there on holidays. We went down to the bar in Pebble Beach, which is a bar that anyone can walk in, and it's very reasonably priced for a beer. And we were sitting having a beer with an elderly gentleman, and he said, "Oh, why don't you just go up and check if you can get out tomorrow and play with me?" And I was like, "Nah, never happened." And went up, and sure enough, they were holotining 5 of the greens and gave us the green fees for half price, and out we went. So I got up at 8 o'clock in the morning, ran down to the golf shop, bought a pair of shoes, t-shirt, slacks, a dozen golf balls, and went up and rented a set of clubs and played. So yeah, and then after that, Port Marnik, I absolutely adore that place. I think it's such a fantastic layout, and anytime I get to play it is generally in a society outing that I do with a few friends from school, and that's always context as well. And there's a lot of meeting up with old friends and playing that place, and some of the holes are just gorgeous. But it's one of my favorite courses. After that, and this is for context as well, I lucky enough to play at Dare Manor. We bought that for my brother as a wedding present last year, and we had this plan from a long way out. So we had been looking and waiting for this, and we woke up the morning of, and the weather was glorious, and we had 4 unbelievable caddies. And I have to say, for anyone who hasn't experienced it, do try and experience it. I know it's actually limited now. They're limiting to people who've staying in the property, in the hotel. You have to be staying there to play in the course. It's not just green fee only. But to experience, it's like what would happen when money isn't an object in terms of the facility, in terms of the course, in terms of the condition, in terms of the layout. It's just, there's no such thing as a bad lie. There's no weeds. there's not a hair out of place on anything or anyone. The caddies are excellent, and the caddies bring a really good feel to it.
Yeah, I think Adair's a really interesting one, because a lot of people will say, "Oh, I can't justify spending 300 quid plus the 100 quid for the caddy, plus then now you have to pay for a room." But Adair's also not the kind of place that you would go and try and play like every second week. It's
the place you try and go and play once in your life.
You play it once, you go, okay, I played that was unbelievable, what an experience, played it with 3 of my closest friends. That's it, done now.
Yeah, and the caddy commented on that after, because it was my 2 brothers and my dad who played, so it was the 4 in the family.
That's
like
great.
Obviously the humour was good, and there was a lot of slagging going on, and the caddies got in on that then, and they realised that this was going to be not your standard bag in terms of the clients that you have, and that you can have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
And the caddy said to us after, it was great to see kind of a family come down and enjoy it in the way that they should.
Yeah.
This is probably not the standard clientele. But as I said, it was a once off, and we had just the most incredible day. It's like, I can't tell you how good the place is. I can't tell you how spectacular it is. Even just to see, it's like an exhibition in agronomy, for example. Even that part alone, to look down at the surfaces that you're playing on, is incredible. Allied that to fantastic views. I think then I'll leave Corbless in. That'll be close enough. But I like, to be honest, I think Donegal is up there in my top 5 of places in Merva in terms of how spectacular the land is. Donegal and Enniscrone kind of sit in that bracket of kind of hugely underrated, if you ask me. And Strandhill is there too. But I think above all was the week after the Open last year, I got to play Royport Rush.
Yeah.
With the stands still up. The course as it was, having just been up there on the Friday previous to watch the golf.
Yeah.
Where we walked every hole, and then we were lucky enough to be part of a group that were scheduled for the week after. I don't know, by accident or design, but
who'd you play with?
I have to say, I played with two friends from school. So and it was, I would have to say, it was ridiculous, the condition, ridiculous how tough the place is. Ridiculous that I shot a 72. I was 3 under on the back 9. Now that was because I think 11 was playing as a par 5 instead of a par 4. So I'll caveat that. It was shocking to see how far Rory hit that ball to get it out of bounds on the first.
He wasn't that far.
It was so far. It was so far. Yeah. When you stand on the tee box and you realise where those stakes are, you go, that's a big miss.
Is it? Because I was there for Thursday, Friday as well. And I just, I remember walking around that area being like, this doesn't seem miles offline.
Yeah, it's a long way, because a lot of where they're aiming with that wind tends to come in and off the left from the seaside at times. Certainly the day we played it, but I couldn't believe it was that far left, because even Shane Lowry's tee shot on the opening or the last day, as he said, was a terrible tee shot, and he was kind of 10 yards left, but Rory's was probably 60 yards left to where he was aiming. But it gave you a good perspective. Now, what it also gave you a great perspective of was how tough that course sets up under pressure when the wind is blowing at 30 miles an hour, and how these guys are going around in level par. Like, it's just, and also lengthwise as well, because we were playing off, there's 3 of the tee boxes that were right at the back, but they were playing 1 tee box up. So add another 20 yards a hole, give or take, and it'll give you a fair idea. But yeah, I think Royport Rush would be the number 1 for me. Yeah,
that would definitely.
It's a nice mix. I've been lucky last year. I was very lucky last year. There won't be many years like that where I get to play that kind of courses, those kind of courses every year.
Yeah, Port Rush is definitely on the list for bucket list courses.
Yeah, Royal County Down is the one for me, and Ardglass as well.
Ardglass would be nice.
Yeah, so so that's kind of for everyone who's listening. Like, thanks for sitting through that. That was a little bit self-indulgent, but I think it does give a bit of context as to who you're listening to, and people can relate as well.
I have one last question for you, which is: does your partner play golf?
No.
Do you want?
She can as well. She can, and I would, because she'd be very good. Just time wise, like maybe not. She's very good at kind of taking on ideas and learning. Women are far better at learning than men and taking direct instruction from someone who is more qualified, whereas lads are like, I heard what he said, but I think I'm going to do my own thing anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas
I'm an expert, even though I've only been doing it for 30 seconds.
Oh yeah. Whereas women are just far more adept at learning how to do things properly the first time. And lads just try it the first time, get it wrong, do it their own way again, and eventually resign themselves to getting a coach. But would I? Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, I would definitely, because the days we've gone out, she'll just get a kick out of it, and she's a good sports person anyway. So yeah, definitely. I'd be more inclined to put a bit of time to. Like, her job probably doesn't like allow for it as much as mine. So yeah, try and get her into it a bit more. What about you?
She doesn't play, and she's got no interest in it, which is, I'd love her to play. So I one weekend during the summer, she went out, played like the first 4 holes on our walk back to the house. Because like I said at the start, our house is on the 5th fairway. So we went for dinner, and like it was still sunny. So we played 1 to 4 and then walked home. But she got like halfway down the first fairway, and I was like, oh, I'm bored now. The way we set it up was, I was like, hit your tee shot. So she hit it off. And there's like, if anyone that doesn't know about Juliet's first hole, there's a little gully about like 20 to 30 yards past the women's tees. She carried that in her bother, just came up short of the fairway. And like, obviously plenty of people just duff it into that gully. So instantly I was like, look, you're a lot better than you think you are. Out to her ball, and I was like, just tee it up. Like, it's only me and her. It's 7:30 in the evening. Like, it's she doesn't need to play by the exact rules of the game. Her first time,
this is a thing.
Enjoy it.
This is a thing we're going to have to work on, is how to get people into the game. And this is a whole different episode that will go down. And I think we're missing a trick massively in terms of golf. So I
was saying to her, I was like, just tee it up, hit the driver again. Like, the main thing is enjoy it. Like, she doesn't want to be playing smart and doing whatever. Like, so she hit a driver. Yeah. I think in the end she ended up with like an 8 on the first hole. Yeah. Like, I've seen people shoot a lot worse. You know? Yeah, exactly. Like, I've seen guys who consider themselves serious golfers shoot a lot worse. I've definitely done it. You know? Yeah. First hole, definitely. There you go. Hitting an 8. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Like, I'd love her to get more into it, because like, that's the whole point of. Yeah, you just want more people to be involved and more people to enjoy it. But no, as I was saying, that kind of gives a context as to how we are, or are not, as the case may be, qualified to be talking about golf and interviewing people about golf. So, but it gives people an indication as to who they're listening to, and maybe they can relate to one or other of us, more so, and maybe things that I might be into, such as the previous episode, whereas your pieces might be more towards dealing with the clubs, etc. And we'll have that in coming episodes. And speaking of which, coming up in the next episode, we will have basically a state of the nation in terms of where golf is at. You spoke to Kevin Markham, who is author, journalist, photographer, on his take of the game, and we're speaking to Matt Sandercock from Mount Juliet, and also Paul Vaughan from Art Glass. So that's going to be a longer episode coming to you next week, I believe. We're just getting it all ready. Thanks again to everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed the Bogey Men podcast, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.
On the tee, Jack Nicklaus.
This is the minute that millions around the world have waited for.
We will allow you to enjoy all of this. They are dancing in the pubs of Dublin. Harrington with an ace.
And we have a shining star at sunset. Rory continues his run to greatness.
The return to glory.